You know what your own understanding is? Your own personal relationship with Jesus Christ is? That's a philosophy. That's your own understanding. I can have my own understanding. That person can have that own understanding. But we're all supposed to be unified as one, right? Christianity, modern Christianity as it's known today, is a tradition of man. That's the church of Satan. Because they don't teach the Bible. They don't teach you the truth. Let's destroy you. Let's put you in chains, right? Take away everything that would connect you to who you were as a people, right? God has enemies. Why don't they teach that in the church?
They don't want us to know the truth.
You are the God's people. I'm God's people. We are all out here God's people. Right. So all our blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous people, that's God's people. You go into these churches, right? They all got, all right, let's close the Bible. We read one scripture. Let's close the Bible. I'm going to give you my own words. Let me read a book for you that I wrote, right? That I got sold in my bookstore. Let's open up some other passages commentary on what that means. But it's clear. Beware lest any man spoil you. To spoil you is to destroy you. Because they don't want you to get the kingdom, right? Because if they loved you, read this.
Beware lest any man spoil you, right, through philosophy and vain deceit.
Right? You know what your own understanding is? Your own personal relationship with Jesus Christ is? That's a philosophy. That's your own understanding. I can have my own understanding. That person can have that own understanding. But we're all supposed to be unified as one, right? We all need to get the kingdom together, right? So how can we get the kingdom together if we're all separate? A house divided can't stand, right? Read.
Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men.
Right, Christianity, modern Christianity as it's known today, is a tradition of man. That's the church of Satan. Because they don't teach the Bible. They don't teach you the truth. Did you know the transatlantic slave trade is in the Bible? Right, so you know that now, but let's read that. Because this sister right here, she listened to Why You Need a Bible, right? And that horrible message, right? She's not reading any of these scriptures right here. Let's see what the Bible says, who the true Jews are. Get that really quick, right? The transatlantic slave trade. Huh? It is us, right? But why isn't the Christian church teaching that?
Because like I was telling your guy, I grew up Catholic.
All right.
Once I got into college and started discovering history,
right,
I realized that there was a truth at one point,
right,
before egos got involved, before Parliament got these books, before the Crusades destroyed a lot of that true religion. Why? Because they don't want us to know the truth.
And you're right. Why don't they want us to know the truth?
Because then it's control. They get to keep us from God, right? Keep us from getting into the books.
Hold that.
From unity.
Give me Psalms 83 and 1.
Try to tell us Jesus is white when...
Right, you're right. So here it is. They're teaching us all these lies. So secular information, secular education, right? These school systems have been set up to teach you what? When you go to school, right? You went to school, right?
Yeah.
What nation of people did you learn about more in school about?
Whites.
Why?
Because...
Why did they teach you more? When did African or so-called African-American history start in the schools? Right. Where did they tell us it started?
Slavery, 1800s.
So, black people are pig slaves. That's it?
That's it.
Nothing before that, right? So why are they doing that? This is the Bible's gonna let us know, right? Read this.
The book of Psalms, chapter 83 and verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O God.
So that's our forefather King David. Keep not thou silence, O God. Because right now, God is in his place dwelling because we need to learn to repent. Right? Because we didn't want to follow after the commandments that he gave us. Read.
Hold not thy peace.
Right.
And be not still, O God.
Right.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
Right? They don't read that in the Christian church. Thine enemies. God has enemies. Right? Thine enemies. Read that again.
Thine enemies make a tumult.
So they've gathered together against the Most High God, right? God has enemies. Why don't they teach that in the church? Who are the enemies?
I would say the people that go against the message. Anybody trying to feed you the lies, take your...
All right, how about this? What nation of people isn't telling you that you're an Israelite? Who gave you a white image that's not scriptural? Right? Who put you in shackles and chains? You're God's people. Why did you go into shackles and chains?
Right.
Right? Why did they take your book from you, your heritage? Why don't they show you any depictions of the Israelites being black? Right? When they show you the Jews in Rome, what color are they? Right? So everybody, the ancient Egyptians.
Right.
ancient Ethiopians, right? The Ethiopians, right? They recently had that movie with what's his name? The brother who played Batman, right? He was in a movie playing Moses, right? The Ethiopians was white. You ever seen the Ten Commandment movie? Right? They got Charleston Heston, they got the Pharaoh, right? On the wall in the hieroglyphs in the actual pyramids, that's where they filmed it, right? The people are black. But here it is. Here's the white image. Here's the Caucasian image in all its glory, right? They try to tell you these things because they hate you. They cut you off from being the people. Read that again.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult,
Right?
and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
Right? They that hate thee have lifted up the head. So they hate God and they've lifted up the head. To be lifted up the head is they're prideful, right? They're no longer rocking with God, right? Read.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
They have taken crafty counsel. So God's enemies have taken crafty counsel. Giving you this image right here, is that crafty counsel? Give me hold this, but give me the depiction of Christ. Because they have this image everywhere, right? The Catholic Church, right, who have this Bible, give you this image. But what does Christ look like according to the scriptures?
Revelation chapter 1 and verse 14.
Right?
His head and his hairs were white like wool.
His head and his hairs were white like wool. Why don't they read that in the church?
Right.
Christ had woolly hair. Why don't they read that in the church?
it
Why
out.
do they give you this image right here? Right? Because they hate you. Read.
As white as snow.
Right?
And his eyes were as a flame of fire.
Let's go.
And his feet like unto fine brass.
What color is fine brass? Right? My complexion, your complexion, his complexion right there. Right? Fine brass. Right? Brown. Right? But there's another quality to it.
As if they burned in a furnace.
As if it burned in a furnace. When you burn anything, what color is it turn? So, who gave you this image? Right? So what does God say they are?
Yeah, false.
All right, if they were our friends, would they give us that image?
No.
If they were our friends, would they have put us in chains?
No.
If they were our friends, wouldn't they have paid us back for what they did to us?
Yeah.
Right, because it's not part of restitution.
Yeah.
Hey, we love you. We're friends now. Then you got to pay us back for what you did. Why haven't they done that?
Right.
So go back to Psalms 83.
Psalms 83 and
Right.
verse 2.
Read it.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
Thine enemies make a tumult. These are our enemies, believe it or not. What man goes around the world destroying all the dark nations?
Read out.
White people. The International Criminal Court. What nations of people do they actually put warrants out against and arrest?
Spanish is dark.
Have you ever seen the ICC arrest any Caucasian nations? What about the International Court of Justice? In the International Court of Justice, what do they dress like?
I don't know.
They dress like the British men. They got the long robe, they got the white wig on, right? Why don't they have each nation representing their culture in the International Court of Justice? Why do they all follow after the Caucasian men? Right? God says, read that again.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
Thine enemies make a tumult, read.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
They that hate thee lifted up thy head, read.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
You are the God's people. I'm God's people. We are all out here God's people.
Right.
So-called blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous people, that's God's people. So
That's right.
they have come against us, read.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
Right, read.
They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
That's what they said. Come, let us cut them off from being a nation. Right? So, what do you call yourself?
Just a man of God.
You're a man of God, but what's your nationality? If I need you to fill out a job application, what are you putting down?
Other?
You're putting down other?
Yeah, I'm
All right, so before you start putting down other, what would you put down? Come on, man.
Hispanic.
You put down Hispanic, right? What do you think I would put down? I would put down African American, right?
Yeah.
So here it is. Am I African and am I American? Because Africa was named after who? Leo Scipio Africanus. He conquered Africa, what was to be known as Africa during the Second Punic War against Hannibal. You ever heard of Hannibal the Conqueror?
I've heard of Hannibal.
Right? They depict him as a white man, but he's a black man. Right? Now, America. Americo Vespucci, an Italian navigator. That's who America's named after. So now, the question is, I'm named after two white men that conquered dark nations, that conquered our people. Leo Scipio Africanus, right, with the black continent, and the indigenous people over here, the Tainos, the Arawaks, right? The so-called Native American man, right? Those were all Israelites, and now we're named Americans, right? That's not who I am. Your ancestors were conquered by who? The conquistadors, right? That's how you got Hispanic, because before they got here, what language were your people speaking?
Oh, probably a version of Latin or something.
No. Why would you be speaking Latin?
Wake them up.
Why would you be speaking Latin? Give me where the Northern Kingdom got over here. Your people were speaking Hebrew. That's why they find so many Hebrew texts written on stones all throughout the Americas, but they don't bring that up because then it's going to hit closer to home. Why is this nation of people here in the Americas, right, speaking ancient Hebrew? Why were you speaking ancient Hebrew?
Wake them up.
That's a question that our people aren't asking, because 9 enemies have said, let us cut them off from being a nation, right? Let's destroy you. Let's put you in chains, right? Take away everything that will connect you to who you were as a people, all right? We are going to program you to love this image, right? We're gonna program you to hate yourself. That's why black on black and Hispanic on Hispanic and black and Hispanic crime is so prevalent, because we don't respect one another. But if we were men of God like we say we are, right, we would have love with one another, because I would see Christ in you, right? You should see Christ in me. I should see you as my brother. But they said, let us cut them off. So even that tie that connects me and you, because you said, what, so-called Puerto Rican?
Yeah, I'm half Spanish, half African, actually.
Huh?
I'm half
What's
Spanish.
your father?
My father's from Ghana.
Your father's from Ghana, so you would be an Israelite. You would be from the Southern Kingdom, right? It's based off of who your father is. So you would, in all intents and purposes for this conversation, be a black man. Right? That's what the scriptures say. That's what God said. Right? You should know that. But here in America, they teach you that it's the woman that determines the lineage. Right? They try to teach that, but a lot of people go off of that, right? A lot of people go after that. But let's see what God says.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13.
So this is dealing with the Northern Kingdom on how they got here, because they tell you the Bering Strait, right? They came over here through the frozen tundra of the Bering Strait, cold as hell, right? And waited, and then came into the Americas. Bunch of nonsense.
Shalom Israel, Most High in Christ bless. Scan that QR code that you will see on the screen. Because guess what? We trying to push this truth throughout the 4 corners of the earth. Let's push this truth throughout the 4 corners of the earth, man. Stop playing games.
Make sure you subscribe to all our channels. We're pushing the truth.
Make sure you subscribe.
Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe.
Make sure you subscribe! Stop playing games!
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13 and verse 40.
Right.
Those are the 10 tribes,
Right.
which were carried away prisoners out of their own land.
So look at that sign, right? There's 12 tribes. The 10 tribes that it's talking about is from Ephraim on down, the Northern Kingdom, right? Read.
Carried away prisoners out of their own land
Right.
in the time of O.C. the king.
Now the reason why they were carried away is because they were breaking God's laws. When you look at Northern Kingdom, God says, have no other gods before me, right? Northern Kingdom was in the midst of idolatry like they are today, right? They got all the idols, they got the Saint Mary, they got the baby Jesus, right? But that's not scriptural, right? Christ rebuked his mother. He even rebuked the woman that said, blessed is your mother, right? So this is what Christ said, but the churches are teaching our people something else, because they want to cut you off from being a nation. They want to cut you off from your heritage. They want you to keep on worshiping their image. They gave you their image. They didn't give you God. They gave you their image. Right? That right there is what our people haven't been freed from. A lot of our people are asleep today. Read.
Whom Salmanasseh the king of Assyria led away captive.
Right.
And he carried them over the waters.
Right?
And so came they into another land.
Right?
But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
We were going to leave the multitude of the heathen. This is what our Northern Kingdom brothers are saying, the so-called Hispanics, the indigenous people of this land. We're going to leave the multitude of the heathen on that side. Right now we're talking about the journey that I'm about to make to get here. Read.
And go forth into a further country.
We're going to go to a further country. Read.
Where never never mankind dwelt.
Where never mankind dwelt. So somebody get me the Jewish Encyclopedia Asaph, right? I need that really quick for this brother. Read.
That they might there keep their statutes,
Right.
which they never kept in their own land.
Right, keep the laws, statutes, and commandments that our forefathers had given them from the Most High God, right? Because Northern Kingdom went off into idolatry, right? So now they're saying to themselves, we want to come back and serve the Lord, read, in a land where never mankind dwelt. So at the time, the majority of humanity at this time is dwelling where? Over there, what they call Asia Minor, right? In the land of Couldnt, which is called, what they call Africa now. So that land is where people were dwelling. So what would be the place they would call, or a place where no man dwelt? Huh?
Not sure.
All right, we're gonna find out. Read.
And they entered into Euphrates
Right.
by the narrow passages of the river.
So this is telling you the journey now. So from the Euphrates River on the east side of Africa, they're coming down. All right, read.
For the Most High then showed signs for them,
Right, so he gave them signs for their journey. Read.
and held still the flood.
Right, so South Africa, the waters are extremely rough in South Africa. So here it is, he held those waters still. It's extremely dangerous going past those waters down there. Read.
Till they were passed over.
Right, so until they traveled across that land, right, read.
For through that country there was a great way to go.
Right, so from where they were going, there was a great way to go, the journey.
Namely of a year and a half.
Right, it takes about a year and a half to sail from the upper Euphrates to the Americas, underneath Africa. Read.
And the same region is called Ashereth, the name of the land beyond the great river.
Right, so Arsareth is the name of the land beyond the great river.
Far away from the habitation of man.
Right.
In which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell.
Right.
Observing the laws of Moses.
Right.
Until the time of restoration.
Right, so according to Ezra's what?
According to Esdras
Right.
1345,
Right.
Columbus identified America with this
So
land.
Columbus identified America with Arsareth, what we're reading about. So go back. So you read that, right? So Arsareth, what we just read here, read that again. This is what Columbus read. And he knew that there was the 10 tribes were here, right? Read.
For through that country there was a great way to go,
Right.
namely of a year and a half. The same region is called Ashereth.
The same region is called Arsareth. So these same people who cut you off from being a nation of people, cut our Northern Kingdom brothers and sisters off from being a nation, right? These people gave us this image. They know who we are. They know who we are. This is in the Jewish Encyclopedia. Do we have anything to do with that? We don't have anything to do with that, right? So who was that information written for? Was it written for you? Right, because what did they say? What did they say? How do you hide anything from a black man?
False.
Put it in a book. That's what they say. How many of our brothers and sisters have actually read a full book?
There you go.
Not a lot of them, right? Right? So if you put information in the book, they're like, a lot of these niggas ain't gonna read. A lot of them ain't gonna pick it up and open it up to see what's inside. So we can hide everything we know about this people, right, from them by putting it in text.
What is a nation? Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is men leading by example. Nation is women's support. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is you. It's nation time.
And finally, my brethren, be strong